in spite of having so many accolades and performing high and getting all of these, they don't feel they deserve their accolades.
Wow.
Right. So you can be a straight A student, you can be in the professional environment, excelling, hitting all your numbers. You can be well liked in the community. You can do all of these things, but deep down inside, you're struggling with inadequacy.
Got something that's working out.
And we got it. And we got it.
Got something to talk about.
And we got something to talk about.
Got something that's working out.
Good evening. Welcome to Unbranded, unscripted and unapologetic, and allowing us to invite the elephant into the room to this conversation. My name is Rory Anderson, and I'm your host for this evening. I'm sitting in for Darryl Butler. And tonight we have Violet Stevens, who's with us this evening. And she has a special niche that I think all of us would probably enjoy. So with that, Ms. Stevens, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Rory. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I had an opportunity to speak to you earlier about some of the things that you have done over the years as an entrepreneur. And I'd like for you to maybe tell our audience what it is that you do and what you're really about at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, I am the owner of Restful Awakenings. I used to say Restful Awakenings, candles for the mind and spirit. However, I'm led to know that it's not just going to be about candles. It's really about inviting women to rest their mind and spirit and be intentional in taking care of themselves.
Inviting women.
Yes, inviting women now. If a man wants to come along for the ride, that's fine. But I really think that women as wives, as mothers, as nurturers, as caregivers, we actually have to take time to pour into ourselves as much as we pour into others.
Good point. Good point. Now, when you say the company itself, how did that come about?
Oh, well, it came to me as a form of healing. I had found myself at a very vulnerable moment. I not going to be afraid to say it. I literally had a breakdown because I was burning the candle at both ends.
Literally.
Exactly, literally and figuratively. And I was really fighting with myself because I was just struggling with feelings of inadequacy. So I was burning myself out, trying to live up to standards that were in my head because I was already suffering from imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
Oh,
that's my elephant.
Again.
That's my elephant, Rory.
Well, we'll welcome the elephant into the room.
Absolutely.
It's part of the conversation now. Let's talk about this imposter syndrome.
Yes, so imposter syndrome actually was coined in 1978. There were two women clinicians, and they developed the phrase to kind of explain what a professional person, it wasn't based on whether it was a male or female, it was really a person in a professional capacity that despite their accolades, despite their performance, despite the money, no matter how well regarded they were, they struggled with a sense of inadequacy.
Wait.
Excuse me.
I understand, but just so our audience is clear, I'm struggling with the fact that you're saying that there's someone that might have all the accolades and all the accomplishments and yet feel inadequate inside.
Absolutely. And it's extremely possible.
Well, I can see how that can happen, but now why imposter syndrome, though?
Because for all intents and purposes, you're not living up to the standards that you're giving the perception of. So you can have, so you can be in a perfect marriage to the outside. You can have all of the degrees. You can have the level of success that everyone has said, this level of success is going to make you perfect. This level of success is going to make you rich. This level of success is going to make you, the successful person. However,
There's still some in there.
inside, you're like, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that. No matter what I'm doing, I can buy all of the things in the world. I can put all of these labels on my back. I can have all the money in the bank, yet and still I'm struggling with finding who I am.
And you were struggling with this yourself.
Absolutely. For years, I was struggling with it. So I was a high performer. I was the straight A student. I was the person who was coming to work. I was getting all of the high performance reviews. Of course, the money came along with that.
Yes.
So I had the perfect husband, the perfect family, the little picket fence, the 1.5 kids. I don't know if people have, I don't know where the point, I don't know where the 0.5 kids.
2.5.
I don't know where's that half a kid at?
I don't know.
But I was literally, I had all of these achievements, yet and still, I still wasn't enough for myself.
Somehow the cup wasn't full enough.
At all.
Okay,
all.
so now that we discovered this and we're now moving forward,
Yeah.
what changed in your life? How did you make the changes?
What happened, and this is something that, maybe a person who's not as in tune with their faith may understand, but I'm going to give it to you the way I have it. I can't sugarcoat it. I
Okay.
can't say it any
Let's
way
hear
but
it.
how it happened. So I found myself to the point where I was just lost. And I was up. I couldn't sleep no matter what I did. I would be up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, just pacing the floor, crying, praying,
So you're living this life.
living this life, okay? Everyone is sitting here, oh my gosh, oh my God, look at how nice this is. Look at this. Girl, you have everything. And I was just struggling to the point where I kept trying to achieve. Okay, well, I didn't do that. Well, let me set this goal. I didn't do this, so let me set this goal.
Always higher.
Always setting myself, till finally I found myself at a point of breakdown. So I was on my floor in the middle of the night crying. And I was like, God, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I don't know. I can't do this anymore.
I wonder how many people are actually going through something like that today.
Yeah.
These standards that we set for ourselves, and we keep trying to achieve more and more each day, and we keep raising the bar, so to speak. And yet, there's inadequacies inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
Especially when we're in an age now where social media is starting to paint pictures of people's lives. And, we don't even know if that car is their car, that house is their house, that man is their man, those children are their children. We don't know, but it's the facade. It's the facade that they put out there. We look at that facade and we compare. Well, gosh, she's been doing this as long as I've been doing this. Why is she more successful than me?
Okay. All
He's
right.
been doing this, So
Yeah.
that it's very easy to fall prey to that.
For the perceptions. We have false perceptions of others and how we see ourselves as well. And I can see where you're going with this in terms of it. I'm wondering, though, how will we know to move forward in our lives sometimes if we're able to, or confronted with this, and we realize it over time. What do? What's the next step? I heard you talk about your spiritual guidance.
Yes, and because I'm not a mental health professional, because I'm not a teacher, because I can't, the only thing I can do is I can say what worked for me. And at the time, the only thing that I found myself doing was just becoming completely vulnerable. Just, I cannot do this anymore, and surrendering. I had to get out of my way. I had to relinquish everything that I was thinking, everything I was feeling, and leave it at the altar.
Okay.
And once I surrendered that, that's when who I was is who God defined me as. And once I walked into that identity, I was more than adequate. I was more than sufficient.
So the submission was important to you in terms of trying to
Very-
find your way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
And-
really good.
Oh.
And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's why we talk to our spiritual person, our guide, our God inside of us and above us. It makes someone that you can always reach out to.
Absolutely.
And doing that has brought you to where you are today.
Yes. Yes. It was at that point where I found myself in the dark. Everyone in my house was asleep. I was crying. I had completely surrendered everything. And I'm like, why am I doing this? That was literally the question that I said, and I said it out loud. It wasn't a thought. Why am I doing this? And I heard very clearly, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you this, that strategy might have worked for you. Do you have any other strategies that you think might work for some other people?
Honestly, I think the only way that you can work this out is to be completely honest with yourself.
That's hard.
Yeah.
If you're living through the perceptions of others and falsehoods and, as you said, imposter and facade, and a facade that's going on, it can be difficult to find a way to reach inside of yourself. But I think it's possible for all of us to do if we just submit to a higher power. I agree with you in terms of that. I would also want to know, when you were able to find yourself and you started doing the candle work, you put a certain niche into it. It was something. This is special. I had an opportunity to smell the scent. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the most important my primary intention is to make the candle as pure as the intent. So it's completely vegan.
Oh, okay.
It's completely. I need to make sure that when my candle is in your home, it's bringing a clean presence, because I need you to be clear. I need clarity, and this is really, when it came to me, if you would have told me I was going to make candles a year ago, I would have been like, no, I don't even like to bake. Okay.
Okay.
A candle? Well, no, I'm not doing that.
Okay,
But-
well, listen.
Right.
That's very good.
Right.
Well, we're going to have to take a break for a moment here,
Okay.
and we will be right back, and we will then move into our next phase. Thank you.
We got something to talk about. Oh, we got something that's working out. Oh, we got something to talk about.
We got something, oh
We
yeah.
got something that's working out. Whoa. You've been working, I've been working, so we should've been late.
Learn to cough and sneeze with your pal Grover. Step 1. Realize you're about to sneeze. Step 2. Move your elbow toward your nose and mouth. Step 3. Gesundheit. 1, 2, 3. Remember to cough and sneeze into your arm or elbow and not your hands.
Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash your hands. Scrub them while you sing the song. Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash. Rub your hands and fingers in the places in between. Using soap and water makes your hands so clean. Wash your hands. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Taking care of yourself is also taking care of others. We're all in this together.
Welcome back. I'm here with Violet, and we were talking about the issue of imposter syndrome, which I find to be very intriguing. And I'm wondering a little bit more about what was your partner like during this time period? What was that, how he was able to give you whatever you need or was providing all these things, and yet you were not feeling it? I mean, you wasn't being satisfied somehow.
Okay, so that's a good one. And to be completely honest with you, he was completely oblivious to it. And
Wait. He was
Yeah.
oblivious to it, but he saw you crying. He saw you
no,
going
he
through.
didn't. No, he didn't.
You
he
hid
didn't
this
see
from
me.
him?
This was something where he just didn't know about it. and oh well, you have everything. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
I gave you everything. You should be happy.
But now you're telling me about suffering in silence, and I don't understand how you were able
Right.
to try and perpetuate that while this man and your children were right in the house with you.
Because sometimes I can say it's a generational thing where we kind of, I'm not going to say we, I'm going to make this completely personal.
Keep it on the eye.
I was raised that we don't air our dirty laundry. And even though that's my husband, I was raised by a woman who was raised by a woman who didn't cry, who didn't do anything. They just handled their business. So I wasn't raised to bring out or show that vulnerability or emotion. So it's not saying that he was oblivious. I have to take part in it because I hid it well, which is an imposter. So I hid it. And I think that it was further exacerbated by the fact that I had found myself newly involved in the church and in the faith. So that's a completely different level of the imposter syndrome, because you go to church and everyone gives you these accolades and you, I know these Psalms and I know my script, I know my scripture, I know this. And you're like, oh, you know what? I got to put up this part, because you can be a caregiver. You can go out there, and we're women, we're nurturers, we're caregivers, we're all of these things. But when you are a woman of God, now I'm not sewing because I'm a woman. I'm sewing because this is an expectation. So now I'm constantly giving, I'm constantly showing up, I'm constantly doing this. I am not pouring anything into myself.
But you're giving it all out.
But I'm giving it all out. So that inadequacy was further rooted in me trying to, okay, well, what can I do to fill this void? What can I do to not be bombarded with these feelings of inadequacy?
Okay, well, now I have to ask another question. It's very personal, probably.
Yeah.
And please, if you feel uncomfortable, I apologize.
No. I know what I was
Where is
signing
he
up
at
for.
today in your life?
He's here.
Okay.
He's here.
He's aware?
He's aware, yes. Does he know how I
you
feel?
can't be fulfilled unless you...
No. Because my fulfillment doesn't come from whether or not
I understand that.
Oh,
I'm talking about in terms of the relationship that you're trying to have with this person. You can't just keep him on the outside.
Right? No. He understands, but he also he understands. He
being
does
your
not
husband.
have
I'm
the
sorry.
my
He being your
husband, right?
yes.
My husband understands. However, I can't expect for him to give me from the place where he's at. He doesn't understand unless he's willing to, okay, what is this? How can I help? Which is like one of the biggest questions a person can ever ask a person that they love that's in turmoil. How can I help? That's it.
It's a necessary question, though.
It's necessary, but you would be surprised how many people don't ask that question, because they may feel, I don't have to help you because I've checked every box in my head.
That society has said that I should check.
Exactly. I'm providing. I'm giving you love. I'm giving you, this beautiful home.
Right. Nurturing as
so
best I can.
I've given you from my standpoint, but it's kind of hard to have this is my expectation. I can tell you this is my expectation. But if it doesn't make sense to you, you're still going to give to me what you know how to give. And a lot of it is and believe it or not, a lot of it is generational.
Yes.
You have some people that come from a home where parents slept in separate bedrooms, where
That happens.
the mother was just, regardless of what happened, the mother still stuck it out, regardless of what the father did, or vice versa. The father may have been there. So a lot of it is generational. When you get married, you don't marry that person. You marry the people that raised that person. You marry the household that person was raised in.
The question now is, how do we change the dynamic?
I think the way we have to is, like I said before, honesty. You really have to not only open your mouth to say what you need, but you have to be willing to lay on the table, this is what I need. Are you able to give this to me or is this too much? Can you understand what I'm going through?
What if that is given and it's rejected?
Then that's another level of honesty. What are you going to do with that? If you tell me, and this is Rory and Violet,
Yes.
if Rory says, Violet, I understand that you need me to support you in other ways than financial. Is that coming from you saying, from your heart, I love this woman, or I just want to shut her up?
Well, I don't think that would necessarily be the case for Rory.
For Rory.
Right.
But you have that where I'm doing this, it's kind of a skill or will.
Well,
Am I doing this because I have to do this, or I'm doing this because I want to do this? And once you are honest about those, I think
Okay.
how you proceed becomes a little easier.
well, I need you to now tell me a little bit more about the candle in terms of how I might be able, because, this candle you bought today for us, it has some significance and some meaning, I imagine.
So each candle has a biblical reference.
Biblical.
Absolutely. So I have a promise keeper. They're really based on the promise of God, but they're the psalmist. This is the psalmist right here, and they come with it's really to promote leaning on your faith, and leaning on your faith in times of hardship, in times of trouble, in times of whether it's triumph, whether it's struggles. Because
I want you to speak into our audience right now. Tell them exactly what you're feeling again.
Right.
How this comes about. Say that again.
Oh, they're there. My candles are there to really promote rest and devotion, and to encourage people to rely on their faith in times of trouble, because that's what the Bible is really about. There are triumphs. There are many triumphs, but there were struggles, and a lot of times all we had was the Word of God. All they had, and they had to rely on their faith to get them through it. Sometimes it was blind faith.
Yes. Yes.
We're in this desert. You said water's coming.
Well, this is about that belief that we have in the unseen.
Absolutely.
Understanding that.
Absolutely. You provide the fire, I provide the sacrifice. That's how the song went.
Okay.
And that's what it is. It's really time for you to be intentional with that devotion, and intentional with those promises, and intentional with helping and healing yourself.
The healing is the important part of all
That's
this.
the most important part.
And I don't know if it's necessarily through your spiritual guide that we get it sometimes, but we also have to find a way to heal ourselves, no matter what the problem is.
Absolutely.
The trauma that we've gone through. Here you are talking about your own personal trauma, and I appreciate you sharing with us, allowing us to have this conversation about this elephant that you carried for so long.
Yes. And I would be remiss to not speak on the fact that I did have therapy involved.
Okay.
Faith, and this is nothing against, you can't have people pray for you. No, prayer works wonders. It was through prayer that I realized that I had a problem. It was through prayer that I realized I needed to release that problem and tackle that problem.
Exactly.
However, it wasn't through prayer that totally healed
Helped
me
you.
of that problem.
Yes.
It was Jesus in therapy.
Yeah, therapy is important.
I'm a firm believer in Jesus
Yes.
and therapy. So I do encourage every woman, every man, mental health is important. You can heal your spirit, and you can heal your mind.
You have to heal your mind
I
and your
encourage
spirit
that.
in order for you to really get to be a whole self.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, do you have any last words for our viewers?
Oh, gosh. My last words are your identity, and knowing who you are and knowing why you're here is really going to mold you and shape the person you become. And it's so important that you do not allow any outside influence to tell you who you are. That's the most important thing
Thank you.
for me.
I also heard how you said you were shaped by 3 generations of women,
Yes,
strong, spiritual,
absolutely.
but there were some things that they gave you that worked
Yes.
against you.
Oh, yes.
So we have to be able to understand those things and then
Absolutely.
look inside ourselves and find that which works best for us in each time we do. So I'm glad that you were able to come to us today
Yes,
and
thank
share
you for
with us.
having me.
And I know that my producer, El Tomei,
Yes.
is going to really enjoy having this product.
Oh, yes. That's her psalmist candle.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Psalmist Candle.
Yes.
So, again, Violet, I'd like to thank you for being a part of our show today.
Thank you for having me, Rory.
Oh, this has been really good. I'm still intrigued by this information, and we're probably going to have a conversation off camera about
Definitely.
what we're doing with this imposter syndrome,
Imposter.
because it makes one automatically think of themselves. I want to thank all of you today for being a part of this show. I know that this issue of the imposter syndrome will be one that we will have to revisit at some point during the course of our segments in the future. My name is Rory Anderson. I'm your host for today for Unbranded, Unapologetic, and Unscripted in this case. So I thank you again, and good night.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one.